Right, this is the second time out on the 4th of October 2024, and the government are absolutely fucking pelting the fucking action. It's like they're fucking, like, yeah, you're a worthless fucking piece of shit, you're a sick cunt, we're taking you to fucking pieces, we're hitting you off, we're gonna fucking destroy your fucking life and everything else. Ever since Labour got in power, all this action's been fucking nastily stepped up maliciously. It wasn't great when Conservatives were in power, but since Labour's got in, it's got nastier and fucking nastier and nastier. So anyway, let's start with the fucking sheets, shall we? Right, I go back home, because obviously the setups earlier, I had to make a note of it and I had to put it on YouTube and Facebook, making a conspiracy of the problems that occurred earlier. Right, so going out this time, or just before going out, penis up's a loud bike. Dangerous child abuser just said. Shot dead child abuser just. Sam's bike's gone just said. Well, that's nothing to do with me. Right, everything where your stuff is stored is gone, who child molester said. Said. Or something like that. I can't remember what type of hum it was, but... Right, penis up's a loud bike. Right, so walking out, black sick timed. That's a black car and a sick colour timed. Before the black car reverses up me, quite literally in the doorway, walking out of my place. And then after that, there's a black sexual car and grey car that's rammed into me, and then a buggy pushed my way by a lady in her early 20s. Black and blue sick, black and blue sick, black and blue red, white, black sick, sexual car, black sexual car, blue sexual car, Sadie car, paying the price van. It might be the playing the price van. There's one I haven't seen for a long time. There's two of them. There's one that I used to see on a regular basis called Playing the Price, and one saying Paying the Price. I can't remember which one it was because I didn't take much notice. I was in a bad mood and I was just trying to set every setup that was occurring at that time. And after the stuff I don't even have written down because I can't do it in time. So a lot of this is being done from the top of my head. I'm taking some off the sheets to help with it. Roughly there's about 500 cars, so initially I had to jump the gun and cross while the cars were coming at speed, because I wasn't in the mood for waiting around for setups and whatever else. So I'm being choked out by a catalytic converter, which is a vinegary type of, what do you put it, there's like mixing the smell of garden cress amongst two stainless steel knives, but 100 times stronger, that you've got to put up and breathe in on engine cars, fuel driven cars. So sexual car, black and fucking blue, right? Black and fucking blue. Black and blue. Black, black, black. Sick, sick, sick. Grey, white. Blue, black, grey. Hold a second. Being choked up by catalytic converter. Catalytic converter hot point. I didn't know there was any cars, there are any cars go past here today. And there's a car with one light out. As I reached it, just past the catalytic converter hot point. Right, so crossing the next step after I get to the crossing is basically the same as a whole load of black sick, or black mixed with red sexual, or black mixed with red cars, or black red, black and blue, white, sexual cars, a knife-shaped car, and then obviously when I try crossing, there's a black guy that's taking a picture of me with his smartphone, but there's no threats. Drain covers are being smashed over. Then there's an ear-shattering loud bike timed to an erection, so that's 10 times loud, but I call it ear-shattering when it's sort of like it's unnerving, and you hear it really loud and it pisses you off. Then that's followed by a 9 times loud bike timed to my willy shooting up. Then after that, timed to an itchy belt. No, actually that's just before. I put it on, I had to write it on there. It's not all in order when it comes to that part because of how heavy and how fast that action is. By this time I've only been out 3 minutes by the time all this has happened, what I've already mentioned. So there's an itchy bell end, and there was an 8 times loud bike before that. And there's a black sick car at the bottom of the road coming my way just before I entered the section of what I just mentioned as well. Like I said, I'm taking it off the sheets, you see, I'm just doing it off the head. And I'm forgetting things, but you know, it's very difficult because the government putting so much action in my path that there's so much I can't even state or remember. You're literally talking, one of the heaviest setup times going out. I can't remember if I mentioned the Sadie car. You had that as well, which was straight after what I just mentioned. I'm not doing well tonight, but this evening, should I say. I had a sleep earlier because I was feeling really knackered and I woke up with a headache, so I'm trying to walk that headache off. So I'm actually doing the same walk I did last night. And I want to hide some booze out for suicide night. Although suicide's not planned yet, I want to collect the other one I hidden out because it's more expensive than the one I'm hiding out tonight. Because I've got a cheap bottle to hide out, because I don't like hiding stuff out that's expensive, because if it's found I've lost that money, you see. I mean, I used to hide CDs out going back many years ago, but it turns out there's a waste of time because your CDs either get damaged, the Blu-rays, M-discs, whatever you hide out, they just don't work or there's a problem with them, so I don't bother doing that. If they're kept in dry conditions or in a room in a house or in a place where you're not going to have wet condensation and harsh temperatures, then do that. Right, so Penis shoots up again, bike. Going back to the next section of where I left off. You know what I stated before I went back onto the initial setups that occurred before I managed to reach the traffic lights. Drain cover hit over. Two rough people take a picture of me with their phone. I can't hear what they're saying, but they're not in a very happy mood because the traffic flow is too heavy for me to hear what they're saying. So it's like about 100 cars in about 1 minute. With drain covers hit over, choked by catalyst. There was another 4 crowds, like between, so there's like one person that was passing me, then there's a crowd of 3 or 4, I can't remember. Then there's 2 more people, and then there's another crowd. That came with a few threats to smash me in. One of them said they're going to knife me down on sexual grounds. One of the threats was saying that I molested Sadie Dando when I've never had sex with her. And take into account this Sadie Dando's threat is only just fucking kicking off again now. Going back to when I was living at my old place, they found out that I didn't molest her, and they found out that it wasn't true. And all the troubles calmed down. In 2012, there's more case of he's trying to chase Sally Adicott or stuff like that. There was the Sadie threat just died. Even at the Palace nightclub, quite literally, apart from the knife attack that occurred at Bridgewater Fair, where things started to escalate slightly, where they thought Liam done it or someone like that, things were calmed right down. It was only when the knife attack that took place at Bridgewater Fair that things started to escalate again, but it didn't really go that bad in the time that I moved. But I did find out that a couple of months after I moved to Burnham-on-Sea, that West Street in Bridgewater, you know, Southbourne House and the Palace nightclub and whatever, did turn a lot rougher in the time period after I left. But also I was told that the Squib pub that was next to my place has also closed down as well, and apparently it's for several reasons, because some of it's regarding the shit stirring and all the rest of it, and the violence and all the rest of it, and the new types of people that were coming in, and then people taking over and all the rest of it. And in the end they decided to shut that bar down, and it was quite rough people that were going there, even the people that worked there. But it was like a different type of rough. It was a rough, it's some of those people were sort of, you know, were like trying to stop the people from climbing on the scaffolding at the Fathers for Justice event when I was living at West Street, and people were more sane. But when you've got the bearded types of people and the people that look similar to my ex-mugger Dan Morgan's friends, because that's the type of people that's causing all the trouble these days, then obviously because they're more rougher and you can't deal with those types of people, they're rougher in a different way. You could calm down the pit bull terrier type people, the druggy type people with pit bull terrier dogs, to some extent, but even some of those were not agreeable. And also the ones you can't calm down, and what I just mentioned, Dan's type of friends, I'm not saying they're his friends as such, but they're the type he hangs around with, or the sort of friends he has, the bearded type people, or the sort of whatever you want to call it. And also the other type they can't calm down is like the middle class type people, or the rich, or that wear like posh sport clothing, a rough baseball cap, sometimes carry a carving knife, you name it, and have a rough accent. The same type of people really as what you had in the 1990s, but again, these were calmer type people. Even though they were nasty, we were having fights and hitting out at people and dangerous people, when you compare it to today's people, that's nothing. And these were like the leader of the happy hardcore gangs that like their pills and like going to raves and laughing with their girlfriends or whatever, you know, wearing white clothing, New York baseball caps, you know. Bit like the I think it's Bonkers 16. There's a picture of a man that's smiling on the front cover, a youngish chap who looks like a rough type person, of what I'm trying to describe the description of. He has a description of someone that looks like Neil, Nick and Walter, who are happy hardcore people, and some of those were enemies. So I'll keep that in mind, leave that aside. When I'm talking about the modern type of rough, this is like the similar type, but they have like shaved hair across the sides and the back with just a little bit of hair on the top, but done in like a fancy way. And they're the sort of people that like fighting, the real fighting, football types of people that like real fighting. So they're the types of people they can't calm down either. And these are the types of people that the government are trying to force me to walk into all the time, and they're causing as much traffic and as much havoc and as much shit stirring as they can possibly fucking put in my direction. But anyway, we'll skip all that story because I can mention this on another documentary, and it has already been mentioned in the past, and it's even on YouTube channels that I can no longer sign into because I've lost the password. So let's get to the next sheet, shall we? So dangerous. Hang on, I'll wait there a second just to see which is the right one. Right, so after roughly 7 to 8 minutes of being out, you've already had over 600 cars pass me in the roughly 6 minutes. Straight after the last mention of what I mentioned, there was another drain cover hit over, and then 3 more car tyres over that same drain cover before another 6 over that same drain cover in the time period that I was still walking past it. Then after that, there was 22 people on their phones in my direction that suddenly occurred, and also I had some threats coming from those people as well. So I don't know how they've done this, but they're causing everybody to be on their phone in my direction because they want to commit radiation poisoning. Talking of radiation poisoning, I had a 3-hour sleep earlier, and I'm going to mention that later on because it's a very interesting dream. Brains, I can't remember. Brains hit or something like that I've written. There must have been a threat, I can't remember what that was. Penis ups a motorbike and a scooter on the path at me. Penis up 9 times loud bike, choked by catalytic converter, drain cover hit again, extreme catalytic converter stench, black and fucking blue timed. Earlier on, when I went out, there was a black car followed by a FKG van to reply fucking and then blue. So they're getting nasty about it, they're getting erratic about it, the government are getting absolutely fucking spiteful and nasty about it. Right, so black sick white, catalytic converter stench, and then obviously because the traffic's so gridlocked almost, they timed another 100 cars in roughly 1 minute, just over 1 minute. And this is on the bridge and on the corner. And that's it's not record breaking, but it's one of the busiest times I've ever known it in any time I've walked across that bridge. So they're causing as much havoc and as much shit as they can possibly cause. So there's a blue, sick, white, etc. After that, a black and blue white. There's a trailer carrying something that looks like a big, evil looking jug, but like, or you know, like the old 1940s weighing scales. It gives that eerie sort of shape. It's sort of a square box thing that looks like that carries liquid. So it looks like a sick spew bucket that's in dark red colour in the back of the trailer of that van or car, whatever it was that passed. Then there's another drain smashed as I go on the side to let that pass. I can't take my usual walk going into the field to go up here to where I'm going today. I had to keep to the road because of the setups and the amount of people they were putting there. Because there was people shouting their heads off saying they're going to fucking knife people down, inject them with HIV, bash their fucking brains out and calling people rapists and child rapists. And they were also mentioning Seven, although they didn't see me, I'm mistaken as that person called Seven. But then they're sort of talking about who he is and what the rest of it, and saying he's going to be up here soon and he needs to be fucking murdered, he's got to go, he's a fucking rapist, and saying stuff like he molested Sadie or whatever it was they said. I couldn't make out what they said. So sticking to the road, believe it or not, in about 2 minutes, just 2, maybe 3 minutes, there's another 100 cars So they're literally absolutely packing it. This is one of the heaviest I've known the road ever. For moving traffic, is record breaking. I mean, even when you've had cars that are like gridlocking queues and traffic jams, it doesn't come to this amount. It's just the flow's moving, so the flow's moving. So they must be sort of doing this in a sly way where they're controlling the traffic so that there's no traffic on the other side to cause this to occur like this, because I've never known it like this before. So SICK black and blue is the most common car, and black and blue white. SICK blue white, 3 SICK cars, black, red, and a car with one light out and choked by catalyst. There's a bloke in a car that actually offers me a lift, but I decide to not go with that because he'll probably be going in a direction that I don't want to go in, and I want to come up here. So I didn't take that lift because I wanted to take this option, so that's what I did. So when I get to that farmhouse, yet again, I don't know how they're fucking doing it, but yet again they managed to time a car to pass me when there's only 1 or 2 houses on that road. Every fucking time. But how they do it? How are they doing it? That's what doesn't make sense. So that's about 15 times I've been up here. Every time I've been up here, in the last 15 times I've been up here, apart from maybe 1 or 2, I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's almost every time. There's 1 or 2 that didn't occur, but I think that goes back a little bit further than 3 weeks ago when I started drinking spirits or whatever, a month ago. But basically every time in the last 2.5 weeks, definitely, each direction I've gone in, even at 2 in the morning, whatever time it is I've walked back in that direction, I think it's 1 in the morning, not 2, they still time a car to pass on that track, yet there's only 1 or 2 houses there, and I don't know how they're doing it. At the catalytic converter hot point, they choked me at the catalytic converter hot point, but I didn't actually see any cars today. But there was a car that was coming with 1 light out as I was crossing that road at the catalytic converter hot point, and then obviously it takes you to where I am now. So there wasn't as many threats as yesterday, because quite literally it was threat up on threat, but there was more in the way of people photographing me today. In actual fact, I haven't written all this down, so I can't remember how many people photographed me, and I haven't mentioned all the people that have photographed me, because obviously writing all the stuff down with the amount of action that's being, with the amount of capital punishment that's being enforced on me, it's not easy to do, because you're looking at 600 vehicles for the first 7 or 8 minutes that I've been out, and then you had a couple of hundred other cars, in the next several minutes before I come up here. So they're really packing traffic. It's understandable because it's a Friday, but I've never known it this busy. It's record breaking for this direction. I've just had to deal with a tree branch that's just collapsed on me. Obviously I didn't get hurt by it because it's like a dead branch and it's a light branch, but it was timed to fall onto me, timed as I walked under it, and it nearly caught me in the eye. Anyway, I was going to mention a dream that I had in the 3 hours I fell asleep earlier. So I arrived back around about 2 PM after going uptown, after all the trouble and all the shit I had uptown, because obviously the government are trying to hit me off, so they're enforcing as much havoc and as much fucking problems as they can possibly put in my direction, like nasty people causing me to get photographed so that they can show other people to try and hit me off or kill me or fucking smash me in or knife me dead, because that's what the government wants. The government wants me fucking taken off fast. And also you had all the setups, loud bites to erection time, and lookalikes to people who sexually abused me as a child tying to an erection. And today, they're doing it spitefully, and they're managing to do it. I don't know how they're getting it constructed in this way. The way I say it, I look like I'm lying because of how often it's happening in this way, but I'm not. So basically, they're timing a lookalike to someone who sexually abused me as a child tying to an erection, followed by a Make Love, Not War t-shirt. Age is just a number, it's love that counts. And on today's occasion, it would follow a cheering van, followed that, and a yeah van followed that, and they did it in a CCTV camera zone, so obviously they don't give a fuck if it's on CCTV anymore as well then. So they must have gave permission to step up this action, and to do it in CCTV zones, it appears to me like they've organised it where the police are not bothered about it either, sort of thing. So they've always tried avoiding CCTV zones when setting up this action, or when it's really spiteful. But now it appears some law's been enforced, or they can do something, or something has occurred where they can just go ahead and do it in CCTV zones as well. Right, anyway, let's get to the dream, shall we? So the dream I had earlier on, well, I can't remember the first section of the dream, but what happened was I was initially passing some roadworks or some works that was taking place, and this person that's driving this tractor, he was using the fork end of the tractor, and he was trying to hit me with it, or he was very close to me while I was trying to get from one area to the next. So then eventually I was being chased, or I kept becoming victim every time I went down the street. This where this tractor thing was trying to hit me on the head and whatever. And then obviously the lighting was playing up in people's houses, and one of the lights was going dim and whatever else. And then there was like a loudspeaker towards the end of the dream where it said, this is a nuclear war test, or something like that. And but it appeared to be real. It's sort of, they were saying it's real, but they're making it sound like it was a test with the speaker, and these old people, these grannies, were saying this is real, this is not a test. And they started counting down. You didn't have the red alert alarms, and talking through the speaker was like this: we're approaching nuclear war, nuclear attack number 7. We're nuclear attack number 12. It's sort of speaking like that in the dream, that is. When it reached number 7, after it was doing that, because it was doing that for a while, just saying different numbers, and while there was conversations and talking, the light was flickering in the house, and eventually there was no electricity in the house of one of the people that was giving me trouble in the dream. And then it just, as soon as it said we're in nuclear war number 7, that's basically when I woke up from that dream. So it's quite an unusual dream. Right, a bird tweets, "You've been with Amy Weston," which is not true, and saying knife you down. Dog barks, knife dead, vegetable, had sex with her, when I haven't. Right, someone bow whistles to say burglary, raped her. Tying to an erection, there's been 6 loud bikes tying to an erection, all 8 times loud. There's been 4 people on that track walking in my direction, which is not very often that occurs, but it's definitely not record breaking. If I recall, the record breaking amount of people that were down that track was in January of this year. So, but there was no threats today by any of these people. In January there was. Right, that's the 6th car down this track. That's not record breaking, not for the time of evening, but it is a lot. For this specific road it is. Right, if there's any more than this car that's coming now down this road, it's record breaking. That's the last car now. If there's another car, they've broken the record for this time of the evening for this road. Obviously it's not that late, but as I said, you don't get that many cars down this road. Well, it looks like they have broken the record. But what I will say is record breaking for your normal regular flow. The very first time I went up here, which was in 2022, I didn't realise there was a diversion, so there was about 100 cars going on that road to divert. Take that time away, out of all other times, then obviously yes, it's record breaking. If I recall, I was going down the farm track, and I'd never been down before, and all the cars were going down there thinking of if there might be a possible way out when the diversion took place, and obviously the road was stacked with traffic in a massive queue going into the town, basically on the road that I was coming up earlier. It was actually busier than what it was when I was walking up there this evening, than what it was when the traffic was at standstill. It's just what they've done is they caused the one side of the road to be clear, causing traffic flow to be moving in that one direction, to cause as much havoc and as much traffic in my direction as possible, and controlling the other side to where I'm walking in a way where it's being controlled to cause as much havoc and as much colliding as they possibly can fix up in the time period that's on that road. Because when I left that road and came onto the field and went across, the road just went dead quiet. So it's deliberately being done. There's a couple of people that are asking why I'm buying the miniature bottles of vodka and not buying the normal size ones. Well, I have been buying the normal size ones, but I do like the miniature ones because a lot of the time I chuck the bottles out and I like to keep within a certain amount, but that's not the only reason I buy them. The other reason I buy them is because I want to keep them for like necessary situations, like if I'm cutting down, stopping to drink and I'm going through a hard time and I need to have a drink, then I can open one and keep to that limit, if you know what I mean. But the problem is, you may think that I could just wash the bottle out and then put the vodka in afterwards. The problem I have is we have hard water where I live, and it goes stagnant after a short period of time, or just leaves a horrible smell. Even just a couple of days, you just have to clean the bottle out regular. It's not like normal water where it just slowly, where you can wash things or anything like that. It's a different type of water. It's hard water. It often makes you feel pretty bad, to be fair, but so that's why I pay that little bit extra. I'm not happy about it, obviously, but it's your only option if you want to do that now. But at least, just supposing you don't drink it for a year, it will still be safe to drink if it's one that's come from a shop. Where if it's one that's washed in the water that I use, I'd be a bit wary about it. Although this is the case, I'm not going to be doing it too often. So I've got the bottles I want, so I'm not going to be buying any more. So anything that's like that anymore would just be replacing the same bottle and washing it out on a daily basis. But then again, I am trying to get off the spirits. The reason I got into the spirits in the first place, after being on the alcohol, I've done it several times before, mostly since I moved in Yeovil, and it's gone on for months and months. I think there's a time period where there's about 6 months where I was just drinking heavy on the spirits, and that was not long after I moved there, in fact. And then there was another time period where it occurred, and then there was another time period where it's a short period of time, and then obviously it's happened again. The reason it's happened this time is because I'm getting fed up with all the threats and all this action that's being enforced on me by the government, and it's starting to make me feel unhappy, and I'm getting a lot of trouble, and I mean it's a lot of trouble. But the problem is everyone's photographing me thinking I'm that Sven, thinking I'm a rapist, and everyone trying to smash me in and fucking knife me to the floor, hit me off. Government are causing everyone's movement to be in my direction, to get as many people in my direction as they can, to get as many photographs of me as they can, so they can hit me off in their fucking sly way, get rid of me. But all they're going to do in my next life is tear me to fucking pieces, and they made it fucking clear with the setup that's being organised against me. They want me ripped to fucking pieces in every life, because what they're doing is they're thinking that my name is Justin, and they're going, and it rhymes with time, just in time. And they've been making the suggestion in the past, especially, well, actually when Labour was last in power, that you're living up to your name, time, and we're ripping you to pieces for the worst life on record, and you're going to serve time living up to your name just in time. So they wanted to make the suggestion of that. And since Labour have gotten back in power, it happened 2 months before they got back in power, all this action started getting nastier and nastier again. But at the time they got voted in, that's when the threats suddenly started to kick off again, to how it was in 2022. So the last month is basically not as frequent as 2022, because you had at least 40 threats per day, and at least 40 people photograph me per day, and at least 40 people sneeze or cough in my face every single day of that year, of 2022. And that's why so many people think I'm Sven, because so many pictures have been taken of me that people everywhere just mistaken me as that person, and it's gone into almost murder and violence and other problems. But it's the government's fault for forcing and controlling all these people in my direction. There's nothing I can do about it. The government in the UK want me knocked off, and they want me knocked off fast, and that's why they're causing everybody to turn against me, and that's why they're using the media to put child killers or child rapists on the television to resemble my face, because they need to get rid of me. But there's no reason for them to get rid of me, because I haven't done anything wrong. And now they're using the excuse that I raped Sadie Dando. So they're dying out with the wane again. But let's go back to where it was in 2006, shall we? When it really started to take place. when it was sort of in the early days. It was sort of 2005, 2006. It was happening before that time, but I thought it was more coincidence, but I noticed it happening since 1997. They'd gone back to their same fucking story in the same structural force as they did years ago. So what happened was, back in 2005, 2006, they were digging up Wayne for about a year and a half, and then they realised they fucked up, and then they moved on to stuff like Sadie, for example, but it was Stephanie back then as well. And now they're doing exactly the same again. Wayne's starting to die out a little bit, but now they're trying to involve Sadie, and now they're trying to involve, but they're not just involving Sadie. Stephanie's being applied, but they're also digging with Amy Weston. I mean, these setups going back to just before the lockdown, these setups were dying down. But the problem is now, since we've come out of that lockdown, these setups are 4 times heavier and 4 times more malicious and nastier than they've ever been before the lockdown. I mean, there were days where it was really, really bad, like today, but they were only at specific times, like when I went to Bridgewater Magistrates Court or was taken to the police station or stuff like that. And then there was a load of animal voice sounds telling me to fuck people that raped me as a child, or saying this, or going ha 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 as my penis shoots up as I get an erection in the police cell, you know. And there's nothing you can do because you're not allowed pens or paper in the cell, and quite literally you had to put up with that. And there's also someone who was giving me threats from one of the other cells, shouting across because he heard my name being mentioned. He didn't like my name and he thought I was a rapist and all the rest of it, and I had to put up with that in the police station as well, and I couldn't write nothing down. And I found out when I did end up going back, my mind just blanked out with what I needed to state, and I couldn't remember half the things that I needed to state, or 3/4 even. So, you know, it's late in the evening, I was tired and I just wanted to go to bed basically. So yeah, it wasn't good. On narrow roads, so I got to let vehicles pass again like yesterday. Getting stabbed, child rapist, robbery, knife down, lying, shouted from the football pitch, but I can't get the evidence because they're stacking the traffic at me to stop me hearing what's being said after that. I've only been down this road 5 times before. This is the 6th time. There's been 6 cars and 1 van. But obviously there's not a lot, but like I said, I've only been down here that many times before, and it's the same for this track I'm going down now and the rest of the way to the shop that I was told about on that sunny day going back a couple of weeks ago. So like I said, it's not many, it's only a couple of cars, but for this specific route, that's record breaking. Well, I've reached the path, as I was saying, so I'm up here a little bit earlier than usual, so it's about 7:20 PM roughly. I'm not exactly sure what the exact time is because I've had to switch the phone off. And the reason I've had to do that is because I've only got 1 cell left. And at that 1 cell, I've got to keep the time on there to know what the time is. And I've got to use it as a torch to see to get back. I'm not sure what time I'm going back yet, it can vary. Sometimes I go back about 10, sometimes I go back about 11:30. There's been a couple of times where I've gone back just before midnight, and there's been quite a few times where I've gone back about 1 in the morning. It's never usually later than that. However, yesterday I did get back a little bit later than that, but as a rule I tend to be back roughly before midnight or around drinking time. I prefer to have my drink indoors than I do outdoors, but I've been delayed with a lot of things lately, like my family. Mum's got cancer and I'm not very happy about it, and I speak to her on a regular basis on the phone. I speak to other family members as well. Obviously it's only going to be very quick calls this evening because I might need to, it depends. I don't mind using the battery power completely up if I can get those batteries in the shop. I do have these batteries at home, but the problem is I forgot to take them with me, and the torch is pretty much going flat. I've got enough to see me to get where I want to go, and if they haven't got any batteries, well, basically it means I'm going to have to take the road to walk back, and it's not a very clever route to take because it's a Friday night and it's going to be the most busiest route you can possibly take. But let's just hope that they got those batteries, or try and judge walking down there, like sit in the dark for 20 minutes and not use the phone, not to make any phone calls or what. I don't know yet what's going to happen. I'll let you know on this when I get in the shop. The problem is I can get these batteries very cheap, But I'm going to pay something like £5 or £6 to get those batteries in the shop just to pack up 4, just for this torch here. That's just because I forgot them, so I'm bloody making sure I keep those in my pocket, those batteries. Or a spare one, anyway. But I'll leave it there for a minute. I made it to the road, but the battery in the torch has gone flat, but if you turn it on for a few seconds, like after you'd switched it off for a couple of minutes, turn it back on, you will get some power that'll last maybe a minute, maybe just under that, depending on what's left in the battery, so that's good. But let's just hope there's some batteries in the shop, shall we? Cars beeping, being shot, dead, child molester, being shot, dead, child molester, having a break-in. With us, going to continue. There's a drain cover hit over up there, and now there's a car reversing out. Right, 2 nights ago I had some threats down the road I just passed, which is Daniels Field Way or something like that, where luckily I haven't had that problem tonight, and I'm actually earlier than I was on the first night, because obviously it's not even 8 o'clock yet. Obviously I'm expecting the road to be busy. Obviously it has been record breaking, because when I came down here in the sunny day in the summer, not the summer, 2 weeks ago or whatever, there's only about 6 cars in total. Obviously there's been a couple more at night, but tonight's probably the most I've known it. We have roughly about 25 cars, but you know, it is Friday and there's a lot of people come and go. Right, there was an ambulance timed. A nice straight grey car, a yellow car, then I was tripped by catalyst with some cars my way, and then obviously there was a gun looking, and then there's bow whistles into a sequence of a threat. I can't remember what it is, because I put a piece of paper in my pocket now, because I'm on the next sheet, but it was something like child molester, something or rather. And then obviously walking out, started car, dead, said, someone's carrying a heater, it looks like a rotted liver, and I just bought some spirits at the same time, by the way. I managed to get a pack of batteries, so no problem there, but I do only have 1 cell on the phone, so that's gonna, if I can make the phone call, but at the same time I need to keep the time, because I need the time as well to know what the time is, so it's a bit awkward. So they might go to 2 cells. Sometimes when you switch it off it'll go to 2 cells, but when I do a call you're not going to get more than about 5 minutes on there, and then obviously I'll have to switch it off and just keep it for the time then, and I'll have to make it clear when I phone that person up. The last 10 minutes hasn't been too bad, but there's a few dog barks that are coming out in a bit of a awkward suggestion. I just wanted to mention why I buy these little tiny bottles of vodka, spirits, or whatever you want to call it. Well, obviously it was working out cheap, and I sort of bought a big bottle in the end, but it's not for that reason as such. It's more a case of I'm thinking to myself, if I need to stop the drink, then obviously there's going to be days where you feel like you want the spirits, or you're going to have a sudden really nasty malicious day where people have started on you where setups are fucking heavy as anything, and you know, and it always comes at the time where you're trying to give up or trying to stop it, or try to go back to the lagers or whatever. Eventually I will go back to the lagers, but it's going to be very difficult. I've reached this time of the year. I did it last year, or was it the year before, and somewhere between sort of September and February I was quite literally on the spirits, which I think was 21 into 2022, and then even in March, April, May there was times when I was drinking the spirits before eventually I went back to just lager. There's been other occasions through time, and obviously the time's come again. This time is because I'm getting health issues actually from the lager, and I've got to reconsider what's causing the burning as well. But after taking the vodka for a certain time, I've noticed that it's not the beer that's causing the burning problem. I'm not sure what's causing it. It's a possibility it's being caused by an energy weapon, but I don't want to accuse anyone because I don't know. But whatever's causing it's making me feel really ill. It's really bad over the last 2 days in particular, and it shouldn't be happening. I'm waking up with like pulled, stretched muscle pains, you know, and then I get like tingly feelings all over my body where it clears later in the day when I'm going out for a walk. And this is why I'm coming up here. Obviously today's not for that reason. Today's because I've got a headache. However, it doesn't mean to say that it's clear from burning problems, because it has been burning this evening, but it hasn't been as intense as what it has been over the last couple of days. So the likelihood is it you know, it would probably be happening. So I'm trying to think of ways to do it. It could be done, it might not even be done by anybody in the building, even if it is being caused by some form of energy device. But whatever's causing it is making me very ill. Yesterday in particular I was very, very bad, and also it's the coldest evening as well. Tonight's not as cold as yesterday. You've got that chill, but it's not as cold and it's not as drafty. So yeah, the problem with the water at my place is it's very hard water, as I was mentioning earlier. So if you wash a bottle out and fill it with something, you're not going to be able to do that because the water will turn it stale. When you're filling water up in a bottle, you can only keep it in there about 2 days. And then you notice the smell straight away. Even after 1 day, you can smell like that the water is not great and it's doing something where it's turning in the bottle. If we go back many years ago, when I was living at Bridgewater in West Street, it started to change later on, but say 2006, 2008, if you fill a bottle of water up, you can guarantee in 5 days it'd still smell fresh, although I wouldn't drink it after that time period. It didn't have that sort of smell where it's type of stagnant type of... It's sort of, you notice that there's a turn, but the water is much clearer and it is much different, if you get what I'm saying. It is cleaner. Nowadays they just put a load of fluoride, chlorine. I don't know how many parts per million they're putting in anymore, but I can't even wash, you know. When I bath or shower, I can usually, sometimes it's 2 times a week, but usually it's only once a week. And I'm getting a bit annoyed by this because I'm a clean type person. When I was living in Bridgewater in West Street, up until 2011, I was bathing every single day, and I like to bath every single day. But they're doing something to the water, which did start on my old place when I was at Bridgewater, sort of 2012, 2013, where I only started bathing about 3 times per week, and it was for that reason, because I was getting a sweaty sore gooch and sore ass and itching across the body. It wasn't bad, but as soon as I moved to Burnham-on-Sea, the water was even worse, and I noticed that I could only bath 2 times a week, which was on a Wednesday and a Sunday, and I kept it on restricted days of the quiet times, or the times where it would be convenient for everybody else, where I'm not causing too many problems, and it keeps you clean for the start of the week sort of thing, or whatever. I noticed that while visiting my nan's, the water there in 2003 was very fresh, just like normal tap water that I had at Bridgewater in West Street when I was living there. But go back to 4 years ago when I stayed there, or 3 years, I can't remember when it is now. Yeah, probably about 4 years now, because I've been at Yeovil 3 years or more. The water's like mine, like my place at Burnham. Soon as I moved to Yeovil, the water's even worse, and I sort of get dizzy from it. I'm not feeling great. You sort of feel like jelly. You sort of get corrections, but you've got to drink it. There's no choice. It's the only water you've got. So, and now, even if you wash, you have one shower, your body is itching, or you've got a sweaty sore gooch. Even on one shower, you've got to take a shower. Obviously, the maximum I can take is 2 showers a week, and I prefer to shower every day or bath every day. But I can no longer do it because the water's too hard and it's causing itching, causing problems to the body. But there's not much you can do about it. So I'm very annoyed by that. So obviously I don't think drinking the water is what's causing the burning, because at the times it's occurring in a way where it's only happening at my place. When I went out yesterday, I was really ill. I didn't want to call 111, but I had to come out again until late at night. I was starting to recover roughly about 10 o'clock at night, and I thought, shall I walk on back, or shall I just hold it out and go back after a couple of beers, or not beers, vodka shots or whatever, gin shots. So I decided to do that first, because in most cases I prefer to go back before drinking time, but more recently, because of the burning problem that's been occurring at my place, I've done a lot of the drinking outside and then sort of walked back. I don't like walking back because I went back a little bit too late one night. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and someone started on me in town saying they're going to fucking smash me in with a fucking knife, making it fucking clear. I had headphones on, I was relaxed, I was very tipsy, and they was digging at me on sexuality and saying that I rape girls when I've never had sex with anyone. So they were getting very nasty about it. I ended up kicking a shop shutter or something as I was passing, because obviously it pissed me off, you know, because that day was the worstest day ever, and the government is stepping up this action against me as nasty as they can fucking slam it at me, because they want to get rid of me. But you know, there's not much you can do about it. I'm not very fucking happy about this. I've had to divert to go onto the road, and I've had to go back in the other direction. And do you know why? Because there's 2 children aged about 12 having fucking sex. So one of them's holding the whiskey, so they're drinking whiskey as well, by the way, the proper whiskey, you know, 40% or whatever it is, and that bottle is a litre bottle that's about just over half full. So they're drinking it between them, so they're probably pissed, and they're basically having sex with each other. The girl's a little bit younger, she could be as young as 10, I don't know, I didn't actually look, I wasn't interested, I just got in a bit of a shit when I saw it, because obviously when you see people having sex and you've not had sex properly in your whole life, you know, it's not exactly the best suggestion, is it? So I went back the other way, obviously, and went to the road, and then obviously I managed to find another cut through, and I went back on the other way, and I walked across the field, and I've come to this road that I'm on now. Right, there's 2 things I want to mention. If we go back 10 minutes ago, just under 10 minutes ago, I've had to come down this track I'm walking down now, because what's happened is there's been a crowd of people. The girls in the crowd only sound like they're little kids, so they could be as young as 8 or 9, maybe 10, I don't know. Or it could be just that they have a young accent, and then obviously you had chaps in that crowd. To me it appeared that they're drinking alcohol, because you could hear one of them burping and screwing up a can and throwing it in the hedge, and obviously they're smoking weed, because I could smell the weed when I was avoiding them, and basically they were talking about having sex and making the girls pregnant and stuff like that. So I wasn't in the mood for that, and obviously they were talking about fucking smashing people out if they get in their way, and acting as if they're all hard. I don't know what age the guys were in that crowd, but as far as the girls are concerned, girls have a younger accent, so they could have been older than what they sound, I don't know, but they were definitely no older than their early part of their 20s, possibly late teens. The guys, however, they had an accent that sounded like some of them could have been in their 40s, but the problem is they have a different accent today, and people sound a lot rougher, meaning that they sound like they're older than what they really are. But if I was to guess, they'd probably be around the same age as what the girls were. Anyway, I avoided that situation, and I've come down this track, and it looks quite an interesting track, so it's not been a disappointment. But where it goes and what I'm going to come into is I'll keep you informed on that. Right, I went down the road to see where that eventually goes to, but it doesn't seem to go into a quiet area. It appears to go onto the main road that goes to West Coker, which is 1.25 miles from the wherever it is I went to, because I haven't got a clue what the name of the place is where I just been to. Anyway, I'm walking back now to go back to normal territory or areas that I am aware of and which I know, and then I'm going to cut across and go back to Barrack, and then I'm going to pop over into Nine Springs, and then obviously once I reach Nine Springs, that's when I'm going to have to turn the phone on to make these calls, which I'm estimating to phone up people at roughly 10:30. So I mean, I don't know what the time is at the moment, but there's no need for me to switch it on immediately, because obviously I need to save the battery. I mean, if it goes to 2 cells when I switch it on, you might be able to push 10 minutes on a phone call, but if it doesn't, then obviously you know that the battery's pretty well for that. It depends. That's how I usually work it when I know the batteries, because I was supposed to charge it, but what happened was I had a headache and I forgot to charge the phone, and obviously, as I mentioned earlier on, you know, I decided to pop out for a walk to get rid of the headache, and believe it or not, it has actually improved. The headache has actually, it went about 1 hour after I went out, So that's a bit of good news, and that takes you to where I am at the moment. I'll let you know any more if there's any more issues I need to mention after this. There's something else I forgot to mention. I had to pay nearly £7 for 4 batteries, when you can usually get them for like £2.99 or whatever, for a pack of whatever. In Aldi's, a pack of 10 or whatever. So I'm a little bit annoyed by that, but like I said, I need to see to get back if there's not enough charge in the phone later on to get back. So it's good news that I got, the batteries, but I'm going to make damn well sure I keep the batteries in my pocket for when they go flat, because that's not helpful when this occurs. As I was mentioning the other day, I'm actually at the lowest financial amount of money that I've had in many years. So I'm actually the poorest I've been in many years at this minute in time. But yeah, I did mention this already, but I'm going to stop the recording because I need to get through. I didn't know it was going to be all bushy and whatever. I've got some good news, because the neighbour's actually texted me his new number now, so I'll write that down so I don't lose the number, because obviously the other number I had on the phone, what's happened is the SIM card's been playing up, and I'm not quite sure what's happened. On one of my father's numbers, on obviously Pete's number, which is the neighbour, and also on another 2 numbers, including Tim from the church, having issues dialing out, or they're having problems contacting me, and I think it's a SIM card issue. I am looking into getting another SIM card, but obviously I should give everyone the number first, well in advance, before I actually change the phone over, so they'll all be that'll be all good. I didn't really want to change my number, but just supposing the SIM card is playing up, I probably have to do that. But it's not going to affect anyone, because I should be letting everybody know what the new number is when that time comes. But as it stands at the moment, assuming I've other numbers, I can still get through on it. It should be okay for now. Right, so I've done the call. I managed to do the call. It lasted a bit longer than initially anticipated, and luckily there's a little bit of power left for me to see what the time is. Whether I can use a torch to walk back home later is not guaranteed, but there is a very unhappy presence in the graveyard, which has not actually happened ever before in this graveyard. It's happened in other graveyards, and it happened when I was walking through graveyards when I was about 14 or 15, and that's a very evil demonic presence that was coming over me, making its self known that it's not in a very fucking happy mood. So as that occurred, I was on the phone to my mother, and it was like a very cold presence, and I was actually shivering right through, and I thought, I'm really shivering. I'm not just shivering, that's coming over me, it's wrapping around me very cold. And obviously when that occurs, that's not a normal spirit, that's an omen or a demon from the circles of hell. I'm not sure what circle of hell that demon's from, but it's definitely from an area which is not very clever. Depending on your religion, depends on how you can tell these spirits to piss off. Beelzebub is the ruler of all demons, and has power over all demons, more powerful than any other being. And if you believe in Satanism, then you can pray to Beelzebub to remove entities like this that are wrapping themselves around you, making you feel cold with a demonic presence, to show off basically. And when these sorts of occurrences occur, especially in the past, you can actually visualize the sort of things that they're trying to do to you. So they're trying to grab you from behind, and they're trying to throw you down a tunnel that goes into a scary place that's very cold, with the suggestion of creepy instruments that are bending into buckled shapes, like musical instruments that are extremely old and scary or eerie looking, that are buckling into even scarier shapes that are very warped. And it's like a suggestion that wants to take you into a underground tunnel where you've never been before, which has machines or operating equipment that you never see on Earth, that works in a really dangerous way in these devious demonic tunnels where this entity or presence is trying to force you down, basically. That's the sort of impression you get, or the suggestion that it's trying to apply when it wraps that cold feeling around you. But I left the top part of the graveyard because obviously it didn't feel very comfortable. Not at all. I was not too happy about it, to be fair. So I come to the bottom part of the graveyard where I continued finishing the phone call. I can't see the entity and it keeps on wrapping itself around me, and it's doing it at this minute in time. So I've got a torch on to see what I'm doing, and I'm not exactly sure what is wrong with this entity, but it's not very bloody happy. So it needs to get out of my way pretty quick. So obviously it's making me feel cold. My hair's on the back of my neck and I'm shivering, and that's with my coat done up and my t-shirt in. So obviously it's cold out here, but I shouldn't be shivering in a way of like this. But you also got like a warm feeling that's going around the neck and back of the head as this intense cold is occurring. I don't actually have my EMF meter or ghost detectors with me to actually monitor the situation, but yeah, it's not very clever because it is making me feel a bit uneasy. So I'll let you know more about this. But if we to branch off onto stuff that I've seen on the internet, me describing these evil entities, giving this sort of suggestion that it wants to throw you into a dark tunnel with bending, spooky, eerie, corrupt looking objects that looks like the wings of a bat or whatever, you know, that's changing into warp shapes or whatever, with machines or equipment that's working that doesn't work here on Earth, but there's a lot more dangerous and a lot more scary. It's done in like a singling out way. It's done in a way where it makes you feel like it's trying to throw you somewhere into a place where there's no one around, where it can torture you and destroy you, or to that suggestion. But in some religions, they believe that when a spirit is doing what it's doing, although it's scary and doesn't feel very clever, is trying to make the suggestion that it's telling you off, or it's punishing you, or making you aware that you're doing something wrong, and it wants you to stop it immediately, and is warning you by causing this satanic feeling or this pressure to come around you and wrap around you in that evil, suggestive way. I'm not quite sure what the truth is about demons. I don't know much about the Luciferian Satanism of Baphomet or anything like that, or even Beelzebub, who's the ruler of all demons, who has the power to remove demons that are attacking you, basically. But again, you need to know the religion to work it out. It doesn't seem to be working with me, I tell you that, not this evening, because that entity seems to be wrapping around me regardless. So, or it could just mean that it's a spirit that doesn't want you to be in this specific place on this specific night, and wants you to move from a different place. I mean, I'm not sure if anything will actually come out on this digital audio recorder that I'm recording at this minute in time, you know, because if the feeling's there might be zapping, or there might be other unusual sounds that are coming across, because I'm actually shivering where this but you also got heat, like burning hot heat marks across the face, back, well, not the back but the neck and the head sort of area. So they say that when you do a Ouija board, that you only make communication with these types of spirits that are wrapping around me at this minute in time. And they say that, is it Mojo or just something like that, I'm not sure what it is. Zozo, something like that, who's the demon of all spirits. Well, not all spirits, but apparently that is spelled out on most Ouija boards when people do a Ouija board and they contact the devil. So yeah, it's not the most clever feeling that's occurred. I've had it before. It's not nothing unusual. It's just that it's a little bit it feels a bit more unhappy than your regular hauntings that have occurred in recent years. So you're looking at a good 20 years since it was just unfriendly. The the type of feeling. Anyway, what I was going to say like just now is these people on YouTube that have had experiences where they've gone to hell, near-death experiences, and I thought I just saw a white shadow there. Probably not. Right. Very interesting. If it's white, it's definitely not the colour of what's wrapping itself around me, I'll tell you that. It's more likely to be a black demon. So, yeah, they go like, you know, I made the description of the tunnel and the feeling it feels like you're being singled out in a tunnel. Well, once you go through that tunnel, according to these people that have near-death experiences, then comes the fire of hell, where they go into like the fire of the everlasting burning place. It's unsure whether that's going to last forever, because the technology on Earth, like CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, they are creating specific particles like the Higgs boson and other particles to try and take out the universe, to wipe out the entire existence of the entire universe, basically, so that everything goes. If that's the case, there won't be any heaven, there won't be any earth, and there won't be any hell. It'll just go back to non-existence of no creation anywhere. So whether that takes place is unsure, but they definitely have technology much more advanced than CERN in Switzerland. But all this is kept underground, in underground cities, underneath my feet basically. And they can make miles and miles of new tunnels underground, quite literally over a mile a day, with tunnel boring machines. And you've got aliens that live underneath, you've got humans, reptilian hybrids, you've got those that are 360-degree Freemasons working with knowing advanced technology called noetic science, so they know in advance what people are doing. They know what demon, they know the name of the demon that's wrapping itself around me tonight. They know all that sort of stuff because of the technology they have. So but I've already done a documentary about that. I just want to talk about this unhappy presence that's in the graveyard this evening, which is some form of a demon. I'm not sure what level it comes from. I think there's 12 circles of hell, I'm not sure. But yeah, it doesn't feel great, I have to admit. I'm not too happy about it. But obviously there must be a reason why it's not happy. So as soon as I've finished doing this recording, I'm going to start making tracks. I didn't anticipate on having to leave the graveyard, but when you've got demons and omens surrounding you in an uncomfortable way, I've had to take the option of leaving, unfortunately. Usually I'm not really too bothered by spirits or ghosts, but this is a presence that is not exactly a very clever presence, let's put it that way. Right, so it's about 4 minutes ago I left the graveyard and this presence is actually following me. So I turned the torch off, went through a dark part, and I suddenly got the shivers. Right, so I'm walking down the track to go home, and obviously I've got a torch on because I don't feel very happy about this. I'm not happy about this at all. Whatever this spirit is, it's cold, but every time I turn the torch off, it seems to be wrapping itself around me in a negative form. I'm not very happy about this, I tell you, by any means. I'm not fucking staying up here while it's like this. It's following me. It is following me. So I was thinking to myself, does it want me to go home? Should I go and try and sit there? So I decided to turn the torch off for a few seconds, and then I just ended up fucking shivering again, right across my whole body, affecting the back in particular. So obviously I'm going to take the option of going back. I don't know whether these spirits are actually warning me of something. If they are, it's not a nice way to do it, but it might be the only way to get it through to you, or it could just simply be a nasty spirit that's not very happy with you, basically, or wants to attack you. So if we go with the option of what feels the most comfortable, I think. So I mean, I didn't have any plans to really stay up here that late anyway, so it's not going to make any much difference for me, but I was going to do something a little bit different as a change, much similar to what I was going to do last night, but obviously not a problem. In the past, when I've had these sort of atmospheric pressures where it feels like a demonic force is coming over you, trying to drive you away or making you feel cold, it's usually only for a few seconds or a couple of minutes. This one that's following me tonight seems to be wanting to be doing it continuously. So yeah, I'm not too happy about this, and I'm actually shivering again at this minute in time. It keeps on coming, it keeps on going, but this atmospheric pressure is still around me, and I don't know what is wrong with the spirit, but I can tell you now, it's not a very bloody happy spirit by any means. Right, it's 3 minutes ago since I did. That intensity is coming back around, and it's wrapping around me, and it's following me again, and it's getting very cold, and it's getting quite scary actually, but there's not much you can do about it. Yes, I'm not too happy about it, to be fair, and this is why I'm going back home. I can usually withstand spirits, but when the presence is like this, then obviously it gets a little bit more worrying. When I was camping at King's Cliff a few years ago, because of the issues at my place before I moved to Yeovil, it wasn't this bad. You had some spiritual activity, and you had some very unfriendly sort of feelings, or demonic entities, or whatever was causing that feeling to come around you. But this is a little bit more overpowering, and obviously I'm not too happy about it. So obviously I'm looking forward to going home tonight. That intense cold has been with me for about 45 minutes, and now I've come on to the next stage. So going across the field, it was still occurring there, but the coldness was still there. I went to the farm track, and obviously there was someone that was walking out of the house there, and when I came down onto the next stage, which is next to the main road, which is like a woodland path, that cold feeling's actually gone, but in the flicker, looking in the corner of my eye, for a split second, I seen a couple of like fiery looking portals or spirits that are looking like they're made out of fire, possibly, or that sort of colour. Very dull, but it's hard to say. It was about 2 minutes ago I just documented about the atmospheric pressure easing. When I went around the corner to go through another stage of this path, there was about 30 seconds of that cold feeling and evil atmosphere reoccurring. Just to recap, this all started when I entered the graveyard at Barrack and sat on the bench. Obviously I turned the torch off and I was phoning my mother, and it didn't feel that great actually when I walked in there. I've not had that before, not in that specific graveyard, and I've been in there many times. In actual fact, the actual presence being this intense I've not actually experienced for over 25 years in graveyards, but obviously tonight is the first time in that time period. Back to setups. Bash him in with a knife, child rapist, fucking shooting him dead, penis up bite timed. Black mixed with red car, drain smashed over, timed. White, red, black. Beat him up, inject him with HIV, molested a child, said. Choked by catalyst, and drain covers it over. This is not good news at all. This entity, believe it or not, has followed me home, and I got to put up with this tonight. I'm in the kitchen and I'm shivering. When I was walking up this communal stairs, there was a tense, but not enough to say 100% whether there was any spiritual activity. Well, it looks like it's at home with me. However, the intensity of how it was outside is nowhere near as how bad it was outside earlier on. At the same time, I don't want to speak too soon, but interesting to say the least. While in the kitchen, it felt like someone just gently touched the hair on the back of my neck. Doesn't feel like the hair's sticking up on the back of my neck. It did earlier, but it's still got that cold feel that's coming across over me now and again.